Hey guys, welcome to Get Busy Watching. I'm your host, Honest Dan. Let's talk movies. Bet your sweet bippy I made time for this one, and let me tell you guys, I am so excited to go through this movie with you all. If you've seen my previous review on the '98 Disney flick, you might recall that I mentioned that Mulan has quite the history of films made around the folk hero. The very first film made way back in 1927, Hua Mulan Kongjun, or Hua Mulan Joins the Army, and as you can probably guess, was a silent film. Actually, it's kinda weird. In 1928, another Mulan film was released with pretty much the same title, Mulan Joins the Army, but was technically made 2 years prior to the 27 film. It wasn't a financial success and had some new subplots that purists of the tale weren't too jazzed about. Having Mulan being forced to marry a girl from an opposing army when they captured her, likely being just one of a few examples. Then again, to my understanding, the more popular 27 flick took its liberties too, so I'm in the dark as to what constitutes as a good change versus a bad change. Maybe I should read the ballad to get some perspective, huh? Nah, I'm American, I don't read. Reading's for chumps and eggheads. If there's any other movie that I'd want to check out, it's the 1964 film Lady General Hua Mulan. Though it being an opera kinda puts me on pause. Whatever. You can't hate on a film without seeing it first, right? Of course you can. But I believe in being fair, so we'll see what the future holds. Meantime, we've got this one. Prior to watching this, I was intrigued. Having revisited the '98 animated film, I liked it for what it was, but I acknowledge that it had some controversies attached to it. I can't act like I hate it now, because I'm an outsider and I don't have a voice in cultural matters like this, but I do enjoy it for the most part, despite its objective flaws. And especially with its looming live-action remake mere days away, I had to ask, what does an actual Chinese live-action Mulan movie look like? Made in its homeland, by Chinese filmmakers, performed by Chinese actors. That's gotta sound as good as it does. So does it hit those marks? Let's find out. This is my honest opinion of Mulan, Rise of a Warrior. We open on some pretty vocals and... is this dude singing? I honestly can't tell. I present to you the movie. I don't mean to poke fun this early, but the door was wide open. I had to go through. By the way, your eyes are not deceiving you. That is a random-ass white dude. Apparently, he's a Russian singer named Vitas. He's literally only in 3 scenes. Hey, that's rare. Token white guy. We're shown our resident antagonists of the story, the Rorons, who are celebrating the union of their tribes and successful plundering by their leader, the Danyu. His daughter, played by Angel Lu, shows up to inform him that her brother, Mendu, played by Junhu, is off doing boy things. Now let's be mature adults here, guys. We all know what we did when our parents weren't looking. Oh, that's not what you guys did behind closed doors? But Daddy and Sister Dearest arrive in time to tell him what he's doing is not cool, and he complies like the obedient shit that he is. I get the feeling I'm gonna like hating this guy. We finally cut away to our main attraction, and we learn that Mulan's father, Hua Hu, played by Rong Guangyu. By the way, if I mispronounce anyone's name, I'm sorry. I really am. I'm terrible with names. So, moving forward, I'm apologizing for every mispronounced name. And I'm apologizing for every mispronounced name up to this point. So, sorry. Was once a war vet, and it appears that he's been teaching kung fu to his only child, Mulan, played by Wei Zhao. And that's kind of all we learn about Mulan here before the plot decides to kick off. Jeez, shave off a few more seconds and you'll rival the flower shop scene from The Room.
How much is it?
It'll be $18.
Here you go. Keep the change. Hi, doggy.
You're my favorite customer.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Actually, that's kind of a recurring issue that I have with the first act. The pacing. Mulan's barely got a word out so far, so I have no idea of her character, other than the expected she cares about her father. Sure, we get a nice scene after about what she should do if in the likely event that he should die in battle, talking about her mom. Are we sure this isn't the live-action remake? It's usually a staple of Disney to have dead parents. But then, right after that scene, Mulan is immediately in her father's armor, in silhouette, cut to the next morning to Dad freaking out, a random flashback to when Mulan was a child and shown to fight some kids, and that's it. From the moment we're introduced to Mulan to the moment where she rides off to save her dad, this is all done in a time frame of less than 6 minutes. Much as I rag on the animated flick, we at least knew Mulan had dimensions. She's a screw-up, awkward, clumsy, and not very good at being a traditional girl, but wants to make her parents proud of her. And when the time comes to steal the armor, it's given dramatic and emotional weight. But this, it's like,
oh my god, who the hell cares?
But then I gave it some thought, and what helps me get through it, and kind of accept it, maybe this was intentional by the filmmakers. Think about it. The story of Mulan is so old. It goes back to the 4th century. I doubt you get to have any measure of Chinese blood in you without knowing the story of Hua Mulan. So maybe she's to the Chinese as Batman is to Americans. Whenever a new movie is made about him, we are so sick and tired of seeing Bruce Wayne's parents killed because we know how this goes. Not many filmmakers have been able to put their own spin on it and keep it fresh enough to the point where we want to see it happen over and over again. Maybe Mulan is very much the same way. How she got started is not as important anymore. It's her actions, her heroism when she serves the army that matters the most. Just a theory. For all I know, this truly is just poor pacing. We arrive at the army camp where Fei Tiger, a childhood friend of Mulan's, played by Jackie Chan's son, JC Chan, recognizes a familiar face.
你怎么会在这？
你知道我爹一来，那就是有去无回，所以你更要替我保密了。你听我的吗？
听，早知道你会用这招。
Great. We're doing that thing where someone instructs Mulan on how to be a man in an over-the-top goofy fashion.
笑死！我们笑死！
You know what? I'm not criticizing this. I'll take it. I'd rather have Jackie Chan's son than Eddie Murphy. Here's something curious that raises a question. So Tiger's introducing Mulan to everyone, and he's clearly naming her by name. Is Mulan a unisexual name? I'm guessing for the time period, it's predominantly a female name, so I guess we're just supposed to go along with it. I mean, the story of Mulan seems to set itself up like that. How does a woman who sounds and looks like a woman go completely undetected? A camp full of men? They'd identify Mulan within seconds. Point is, I should probably stop reading into it. None of this matters. Some time goes by during training, and now we get our resident romantic interest, Wentai, played by Kun Chen. And yes, that is how you pronounce his name. Please get your Rule 34 and office jokes out of the way.
It's called hentai, and it's art.
The boys bond, but the rolling good times come to a halt when a fellow soldier is seen crying, which pisses off some other soldiers. But now we interrupt the movie to bring you a kung fu scene. Jesus, I've seen CG water in video games look better than that. But hey, I got a kung fu scene with Mulan. I'm happy. Oh yeah, ladies in proper hygiene.
It's a sexy getting ready song. The sexy
getting ready song. Primping and plucking, brushing and rubbing, the sexy getting ready sound. I'm gonna make this night.
Why do you women do that to yourselves?
你是哪个营的？问你呢。
In a surprise turn of events, Wentai discovers that Mulan is in fact a woman and gets the hell out of Dodge. The next day, trouble's afoot when a valued trinket goes missing, and the commanding officer thinks that one of the cadets stole it.
玉佩遭窃，现在交出来，砍手。要是被我查出来，砍头。 So,
not wanting to be outed as a woman, Mulan steps forward and falsely confesses that she took it.
是我偷的。
Wentai pieces together that Mulan is in fact the woman that he met the night before, and her false confession lands her a very reasonable execution.
营主，事情尚有可疑，请彻查清楚。明日午时斩。
However, Mulan's execution is postponed when the Rorons attack. Wentai frees her and tells her to run, and then we get a pretty sweet action scene. The commander is killed, but in a pretty overdramatic way, Mulan saves the day. Seriously, with all the slow-mo in this heroic scene, just play the Con Air theme, and it's frightening how well it fits. Victory belongs to the good guys. That night, while the soldiers pay their respects to their fallen commander, Mulan and Wentai have another heart-to-heart.
先王没出息，连只兔子都不敢杀，就把我赶出了门。
你不是害怕，不是不敢，你是不愿意。
Jesus Christ, these translations. It's almost as bad as when we try to do Japanese.
All your days are belong to us.
That was too close. You were almost a Jill sandwich.
In light of the commander's death, Wentai is promoted to commander and Mulan promoted to sub-commander. The battles rage on as friends die, and their continued victories continue to be recognized by the emperor, and both Mulan and Wentai become generals. But it seems that war is taking a toll on Mulan.
我现在终于明白，战场上不应该有感情。
After a skirmish against the Rorons goes south, costing the life of yet another good friend, the loss causes a rift between Mulan and Wentai.
你在战场上的冲动，害死了这么多兄弟。
我已经失去了很多兄弟，我不能再失去你。
在战场上，绝不能有感情。
如果你是我呢？你不会来吗？
我不会。
The acting here is so good. Even though Wei Zhao is not in focus, her vulnerability and her shame are so well played out that she completely steals the moment. And Kun Chen's delivery of heart-wrenching maturity, dude. I mean, look, the cliche of romantic interests having an argument is as old as time itself. But I give credit. I like these bonding scenes between Mulan and Wentai. The two actors have great chemistry, and I do kind of feel bad that they're not seeing eye to eye. However, I do have to criticize the story, that no general should be making rash decisions based on emotions alone. It's just not becoming of someone in that rank, especially when that emotional decision-making is in regards to a fellow general who has proven through many battles to be able to handle himself. I guess you could say that it's good of the movie to acknowledge that what she did was wrong and it cost them, and you could also argue that Mulan does express that she's tired of losing friends, but that feels like weak sauce, man. Honestly, the easiest fix I can think of is that Mulan shouldn't be a general up to this point. Like, she'd still have some ranks to rise through. Like, the only reason she became a general is because Wentai was said to be killed. So that's what ultimately pushes her over the edge later on. She's the only high-ranking officer under him. So she basically gets his position, a position that she didn't want, that she felt he was doing a better job in. But now that pressure is on her. Even in the next scene, I'm kind of conflicted. It's implied that the troops need to move out to another battle somewhere, but Mulan is so disheartened that she refuses to fight, and Wentai has to do all the work. On the one hand, I do like that Mulan is given some PTSD. In a lot of ways, Mulan is the original superhero. A woman joins the army, a big no-no, through her actions becomes a revered general, and would be a cultural icon for the next 1500 plus years. If she wasn't given these dramatic beats of despair, I don't think I would empathize with her nearly as much. On the other hand, she's a freaking general of the Chinese army. I have to believe that when your higher-ups tell you to take your men into battle, you freaking do as you're told. Not to mention, it's unbelievably douchey to let one of your last surviving friends to do all the work, possibly die without that much needed support, especially since you're tired of losing brothers. And what a shock! Wentai is defeated in battle, and his death throws Mulan over the edge. Again, I really enjoyed the direction they went with, becoming drunk and depressed. Though I'm not gonna lie, I could have done without this random-ass moment.
You have forgotten who you are, and so forgotten me. You are more than what you have become.
But Tiger's had enough of Mulan's shit and takes matters into his own hands. The more I thought about these scenes, I realized something. As much as I really enjoy these characters and the direction that's taken, it could have all been pushed a lot more. Believe me, I'm aware that this movie was cheap. It has a budget of less than $7 million. I may not know if that's a lot of money in the Chinese film industry, but I'm going to take a wild guess and say, no, this movie was made dirt cheap. It may wear that budget on its sleeve, but it's damn impressive and looks great, minus some questionable CGI that I don't think was necessary. But give this movie a bigger budget, extend the runtime to an epic 3-hour length, more scenes with Mulan bonding with her brothers in arms, give them great character, and this scene with Mulan looking utterly defeated would be on par with one of the great epic films. But obviously, that's just wishful thinking.
You go to war with the army you have.
And you make a movie with the money you're given. I'll take what I got. I'm gonna guess the alternative ain't gonna be any better. Spurred by her confrontation with Tiger, Mulan addresses her troops.
你们眼中的花将军，其实是一个最害怕打仗的人。我的害怕和逃避，让我失去了生命中最重要的朋友。
Because fuck you, Tiger! Wentai was a nice piece of ass, but you are bound and chained to the friend zone. Please cry into this martini glass. I'm parched. Mulan's rousing speech raises the spirits of her men, and... this happens. Yep, Wentai is still alive.
What a twist!
Your eyes are not deceiving you. Wentai has been playing dead this entire time, and it was all in the name of hardening Mulan's conviction as a leader. There's 3 problems here. 1, that's fucking cruel, you dipshit. 2, really overdramatic for the intended purpose here. And 3, how many innocent lives have the Rorons ended because you were playing dead? Even if Mulan is getting her drink on somewhere, You could have at least led those troops into battle, protected a few people. And all for what? So you can make a point? Well, go figure. Wentai's actions worked as Mulan takes her men into battle and racks up quite the victory count. By the way, I love how this dude is reporting on Mulan's deeds like he's putting on a show.
在我大魏军中威信极高，人缘也特别好。
好了，不用再说了。降为虎头军。
为什么要把欢将军降为虎头军？
我说的是你。 拉出去！是，
大将军。
Aw, but he was so funny. But with all their victories, Tiger continues to feel guilty. No shit, you fuck nugget. But Wentai doesn't want to come out with the truth. Also a fuck nugget.
You suck, you jackass.
Speaking of fuck nuggets, despite the Rorons being stronger than ever, some tribes feel like they want to break away and cut their losses, having been given the blessing by the Danyu.
来，拿酒。浮屠，这次。 你最辛苦，我先送你。
Oh, but surely when he confronts his father about these decisions, he'll be more reasonable. Oh, okay, we're just gonna go full gladiator. Got it.
从今天起，我们土就是你们的新单于。
你的母亲是于氏。 我们以后一定要结亲，生下血统最纯正的柔然王子。
Jesus, this whole sequence is just a condensed version of everything icky in Gladiator. Now bolstered with forces no longer interested in breaking off, the Wei forces are worried about being too outnumbered, but Mulan has a different idea.
恳请大将军万不能退，我愿请命。 做大将军的前锋。
The opposing sides amass, and we get a pretty epic battle scene. Everything seems to be going well until Mendu's forces fight back, and the poison dragon appears? I have no idea. It just looks like a sandstorm to me. Another bad translation, or did I miss something? In the aftermath of the storm, Wentai emerges, desperately looking for Mulan, who looks comically unfazed by the arrows sticking out of her.
'Tis but a scratch. I'm invincible!
Oh my god! This movie has a fetish for people looking good after having been hit by arrows. It's like everyone's trying to outdo Boromir. Sorry guys, but it's never gonna happen. Sean Bean's got a monopoly on that. Although, JC Chan war screaming at the oncoming Rorons does come pretty close. Despite the noble sacrifice of Tiger and his men so Mulan can escape, things go from bad to worse as she and her troops find themselves trapped in a canyon and they have limited food and water, no doctor, and no medical supplies. Ew. But would that work? I mean, I know we're not exactly vampire bats, but would that be a viable option if we were dehydrated that badly? Why did I ask that question? I am afraid of the answer. Not content with giving the audience a sliver of hope, we see that Tiger and his troops have been captured and are tortured to call out Mulan.
求将军，救他们！求将军！
我许你们去牺牲。
可是将军，他们是小伙，是亲兄弟。
你们都是我兄弟。
有生有死。
I know this is grim and brutal stuff, but I love a good singing scene. Even though the context is different, it reminds me of Dragon Age Inquisition. These scenes always feel like an acknowledgement of how hopeless things feel, but it's about honoring those that gave their lives. While I'm sure it can be cheesy if done incorrectly, both this video game and Mulan Rise of a Warrior brought out something powerful and deeply human.
现在清静多了。
Yeah, fuck you too, man. I said I was gonna love hating this guy. Mulan and Wentai saddle up for one final desperate attack, and she does what she does best.
各位将士，今天我们将血染沙场，士兵可以叛我，将军可以弃我，但我花木兰绝不背叛国家。你们怕死吗？你们怕死吗？
Turns out the speech was wasted, as Wentai approaches Mendu with identification that he's the 7th son of the Emperor, and Wentai trades his life for Mulan and the remaining army.
一个活的皇子换几千个士兵。是。
However, as heroes do, Mulan isn't content with letting Wentai sacrifice himself, so she decides to make an attempt to rescue him and knows exactly how to do it. Through Mendu's sister.
你希望两国停止战争的理想，我十分尊重。我希望能帮助你达成心愿。
你太高估我了，我不过是个女人。
其实木兰也是个女人。
真没想到，
公主，唯有解决引起战争的祸首，才能停止这场战争。
Using the celebration outside for cover, Mulan makes her move. If this scene was bigger and longer, it would have been so much better. But I have to admit that this death is quite satisfying. He died knowing that he lost thousands of soldiers and his own life to a woman. The war officially ends, and after 12 long years, Mulan requests to go back home, to which she is granted permission. A heartwarming return to be sure, but what really stands out about this ending to me is how the romance between Mulan and Wentai is tied off, with Wentai having to marry the Roran princess to keep the peace, despite his feelings for Mulan.
你曾经说过，如果能用自己的生命去换取这个国家的安宁，你一定会去做。
让我放弃生命很容易，放弃最爱的人这太难。
And we end knowing that the war has ended and two warring nations will finally have peace. Guys, I love this movie. Okay, it gives me enough for me to make fun of, and by no means is it perfect, but between this and the animated one, I really prefer this. Not just because it's darker and grittier, or even because it's an authentic Chinese film. Though those elements do help, it's because it feels more real. This really does feel like the true story of a legend. Mulan is given real flaws that anyone can relate to and empathize with. But how she overcomes those obstacles is honestly more inspiring than anything that Disney created. Sure, I don't recommend kids watching this movie, it's a little too heavy for that. But I can see myself watching this movie multiple times. And I'm calling it. The live-action remake is not going to be better than this. As far as I'm concerned, the perfect live-action Mulan movie was made back in 2009. So if you've been on the fence about watching the remake, watch this one instead. Something's telling me you're going to get more bang out of your buck. My honest rating for Mulan, Rise of a Warrior, a strong 4 out of 5. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. I really appreciate it. Have a great day. Stay safe and healthy out there. Hope to see you soon.